Again. Okay. Now we're gonna switch to English because our next guest is Justine, and she's gonna be joining us from the internet. And yeah, we're gonna talk about their last book, On Drifting, from the collective Calypso3621. Yeah, Justine is part of this collective of people that from different countries. There's people from Morocco, from France, and from the Netherlands. And the book is a collective work. It's an exploration that for us it was very interesting because it explores the representation in the Mediterranean of the Eurocentrism in the Mediterranean. And that's something that in Recreo we were really interested because we are an art book fair from the south of Europe, and we are trying to give a voice or explore what are the things that are happening in the editorial world in the rest of the Mediterranean, mostly in the south of the Mediterranean and the countries that very often don't get the chance to sign. So yeah, we're gonna leave it to Justine. Thank you.
Hello. Nice to. Oh, I can hear myself in echo. That's very strange. Okay, I'm going to mute the computer. And so thank you, Recreo, for inviting us to this art fair. So maybe I can give a bit more context before introducing the book. So I'm Justine, and I'm part of Calypso3621. That marks the coordinates of the deepest point in the Mediterranean, that is the Calypso Deep. And we are 4 in this collective, so me, Zoé Levoyer, Sana Zahoud, and Manon Bachelier. So Zoé is based in Marseille, I'm based in Paris, Sana in Rabat in Morocco, and Manon was based at the time that we did this book in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. So actually the book, we didn't just make a book. For 3 years we worked together on a project called Out.of.the.blue.map. That was a curatorial research project. And we did 2 exhibitions, and the goal was really always to work on the liminality of Mediterranean borderscapes. And so we made 2 exhibitions, one in Marseille for Manifesta, one in Tangier at Mahal Art Space. And then we did a series of workshops. We produced 2 podcasts, and we made this book that is truly the incarnation of what we were trying to do with the project, which was, of course, exploring those liminal dimensions in the Mediterranean, but also give a voice mainly to people from the southern shore of the Mediterranean. And in our case, mainly Moroccan artists and contributors for the book. So the book is called On Drifting, and we thought it as a participative archive. And the idea of making a lexicon was that because obviously the Mediterranean is an over-studied space. And even though it's super studied and analyzed, we don't know most of the words that are spoken in this territory. And also we wanted to have this kind of trilingual book to really represent some of the languages that are spoken on this territory. And so the idea was to gather contribution, whether they be very short or more academic articles, or poetic contributions, or even visuals that related to words that are used in this area, in this Mediterranean area. So we have more than 25 contributors. We made 2 editions. So the first one was not for sale. It was only on display in our 2 exhibitions. And the second edition that I have here, which is the final one, gather, yes, more than 25 contributors from all over the Mediterranean basin. And the idea was really to kind of have this tension between the contributions. So we ask many kinds of people to contribute. So for example, we have artists, architects, sociologists, but also military, sailors, jurists that contributed to this book. And the way we made it, because we didn't want it to be hierarchical, so we didn't want it to be in alphabetical order, and we didn't want it to be also first all the long articles, for example, and then short contributions, and then visuals. So we were thinking, maybe it's interesting to do it like a journey, like a map. So actually, when you read the book, you begin at the beginning of the book, you are on the southern shores of the Mediterranean, and more specifically, because a lot of contributors are from Morocco, in the Spanish enclaves of Morocco. And then you go through the book and you find yourself in the middle of the Mediterranean, and then you arrive on the European shores. And actually, the way we placed contributions one after another is not due to chance. It was a lot of discussion amongst the collective, amongst each other, because the idea was, of course, to have this kind of patch where some contribution or like relate all to liminality. Like for 20 pages, you will have contribution about liminality, or for 20 pages, you will have contribution that really relates to transmigration, for example. But also we wanted sometimes, like when you open the book, maybe on the left page, you had like a law, a contribution from a jurist, and then a very poetic contribution. So the idea was always to have this kind of tension to, so that the reader can be involved also in the reading of the book and have, I don't know, like be surprised maybe and think about issues happening in this territory. And obviously, like since we are speaking about liminal spaces, a lot of contribution relates to migration issues, but it's not a book necessarily about that. It's really any kind of things that are in a liminal state in this territory. Things are being human and non-human. So, for example, maybe I can show you like one of the pages that I always show to people because I think it's a great contribution. Oh, and also maybe I should say the book is €20, but it's self-edited. We don't get any money from it. We have an arrangement with SOS Mediterranean, so all the proceeds will go to SOS Mediterranean to save and rescue people at sea. So this, I wanted to show you this page because it gathers only short contributions, so it's a nice, I think, display of what we were trying to do. And especially these contributions are from Ariane Masson. And Ariane is a second mechanic aboard the Sea-Watch 3, which is a vessel that saves people who are dying at sea, trying to reach the European continent. And actually so obviously, like some of the words she proposed were very political. All of the words were very political, and some were pretty beautiful. And I think that's something that is important to know. So this is this page. I'm sorry I didn't have time to do a PDF, and I can read it to you. So on this page, we have 6 words. One is sea rescue, the other one target, the other one guest, then watch, golden hour, and respite. So Ariane contributed with sea rescue and guest, and I think it's absolutely, like, for the word guest is very beautiful. So the definition of guest is An individual welcome on board, English being the working language on the ships. This term is untranslated. So what she said when I met her, because every time we were gathering contribution, it came from long conversation with the contributors we wanted to involve, is that when they say people at sea, they don't say people, they don't say migrants, which is obviously a word, like there is also a definition in this book of the word migrant that is actually a word that is not great to use, but the whole crew calls them guests. So at least for the moment of the journey to Europe, they are the guests of this ship, and I think it's very beautiful. And we have also words that come from Arabic, so I'm going to pronounce it not so well. I wish Sana was there. But for example, Araga is a very interesting word. It means those who burn, which literally means those who burn their paper or burn the priority to go to Europe. So actually people who are migrating. Yeah, so there's a lot of contributions. We have also like poems that are the only things that are not translated in this book. So we have poems from Mohamed Louakira and Etel Adnan, which were put here also to have this kind of rhythm throughout the book. Yeah, we really see this book as a almost curatorial object that has a pace, that has data and information, but that also makes you reflect. For example, I asked Amiral Thierry Rousseau to contribute, that is military, and I thought he was going to contribute with only words from the military, like jargon, but instead he contributed with absolutely poetic definitions. So that's also nice to, I mean, as a curator and as someone who does books, to be like, oh, I was expecting something else, but I'm embracing the fact that it's not what I was expecting, or yeah, and work with the material you have, basically. So I don't know, maybe if there's any question, I can maybe develop a bit further, because unfortunately I have to go at 6:30, but I would be super happy to have a conversation. That's always, I feel, the best.
Hi. Yeah. So yeah, I wanted to ask you, like, as a collective, do you plan to do more projects in the future, or it's just a once in a life gathering?
Oh, echo again. Okay, I'm going to mute. So yes and no, because for example, so we were 4 in the collective, but it's me and Zoe, the one who is based in Marseille, who directed the whole program, and Manon was doing the graphic design, so she's the one who made the book. And also all the posters, all the communication of the project. And Sana was really focused on curating from the Moroccan side, so especially the exhibition in Tangier. We just finished our website that is actually like this kind of following of the book, a participative online archive. So the idea is, of course, we don't have any more money to publish a book, but we want this archive to grow. And so if you have contribution, you can send it to us and we will put it on the website. And we did a catalog, and then that's it. Maybe if we have some more project about the Mediterranean, we will collaborate further, but it will depend on the opportunity. But now with Zoe, we are fellow at Ocean Space in Venice. So we are continuing the work together as Calypso, but actually as more as ourselves. Yeah, and so we are working still about the ocean and the sea, but not necessarily the Mediterranean. It's more broader research, let's say, and more personal.
Thank you. Yeah, if the public has any questions, you can hand the mic or anything. You can ask in Spanish and we'll try to translate too. No? Okay, yeah. So as I said, like if anyone wants to keep in contact with this project, it's really interesting, and I'm sure like they would love to have a conversation with Spanish people about this Mediterranean community. You can check their website, and if you want to check the book, it's in the table there, and everyone can buy it. So thank you. Let's give an applause to Justine.
Thank you. Thank you. And also, we didn't have any Spanish contributors, so of course we will be glad to have an addition on the website on the Spanish angle, let's say, of this topic.
Maybe next edition. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Have a good night. Bye-bye.